everyone, I am here with a tag caddy I created for my design team project for February, as well as for a swap that I am hosting on the Facebook group Loaded Envelopes Galore and More. And I had seen Scrap Queen create this little box with a tag as the back, but she did a mini album, and I decided to do the tags after talking with one of my friends, Robin, who searched Chauncey Rocco Designs. I hope I'm saying that right. But she suggested a notepad and a calendar, which I have included in here, and a couple photo mats. So this is what I've created. We'll go through it, and I'll point out all the gorgeous items from Natasha's Scrapbook Corner. So the first thing is we have a tag, and I have decorated it with her beautiful trims. And I'll knock it over. Let's see here. So, whoops. I have a couple cutting mats on my desk, and so it's not sitting level. So here's the first one, and I've used my favorite lace. So I've just cut that in half, made a seam binding bow, and these little velvet flowers are from her shop. So I thought it came out really pretty, and I used the Prima lavender paper. And in the back I didn't put anything, since I was afraid if you put a picture it would mess it up where it would be leaning against another tag. So I didn't put anything on the back, but you know, you could if you wanted to. So there's the first tag, and the second one is another photo mat, and I just used some of the gorgeous laces and trims and another seam binding bow and velvet flower. I kind of wanted to carry the theme through the tags to bring them together. So there's the back, and here's the little notepad that I made, and I will have the tutorial following this so you can see how everything was made. So little tablet I made, and it's just hanging on that, and another little velvet flower, and a calendar. And the calendar I just got off Google, did a Google search, found it, and another. I love these little velvet flowers. And then there's the back of that one, and I used some of this gorgeous lace here, and then another lace on top, and then this gorgeous bling piece. I love these bling pieces with the dangle. And I did use some beads from my stash for the feet, and I just made a little pin holder with a scrap piece of lace on this binder clip, and it was a piece of the leaf lace, and I just glued it to the binder clip, and then I was able to stick my Dollar Tree pin down in there, and it matches really well. I didn't have a silver binder clip, but I think it's okay. And I just clipped it on there, and then the pin hangs on the side. And then the back, because I thought this is on your desk, this will be facing you, and this will face the person sitting across from you at your desk. So I thought you could put a couple photos here, or a couple of quotes. And I cut out some butterflies from the paper collection and put diamond dust on it, and another seam binding bow and another velvet flower. Here are some of the leaf appliques or trim, and I've cut them apart and used them as appliques, and then another little doily or applique up here at the top, and then I had a little scrap piece of lace that I put here on the back. So I would love to hear your comments and tell me what you think. And like I said, Scrap Queen was my total inspiration for this. I did change the measurements. I had forgot to mention that I cut out the tags for my caddy with my Cricut Maker, and I will be sharing the file in Design Space. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview. This is the large tag for the back of the caddy, and you will cut one piece out of chipboard and two out of cardstock. The purple is for the large tag, so you're going to cut two out of decorative paper to cover 1A, which is the tag on the box or the caddy. And then I also have the blue tag, which is for your chipboard and the cardstock for the tags that go in the caddy. And then the peach will be your 8 pieces of decorative paper to cover the blue tag. It will be an offset. So I just wanted to tell you that real quick, and I hope that you give it a try and tell me what you think. We are to the tutorial portion of our loaded desk caddy, and I will show you what we're going to cut out and what you will need for this project. So we will be cutting out the tag, which is on the caddy. You're going to need a piece of chipboard for that, and I cut it with my Cricut and makers I mentioned earlier, and I will have the link to the file in the description box below. So then I have 2 more of the same size in black cardstock and 2 of the decorative paper to get, to inset on that. So that's the large tag. And then the tags that are in the Caddy, you will need 4 of those and 8 of the same size as the tag in black cardstock, and then 8 of the decorative paper as well. And I've got all of 4 sizes of the tags you need in the design space that I will be sharing. So there's that. And I did ink the edges of my tags with black ink, just to give it a little bit more finished look. Okay. And then you will need to cut, I just cut these with my rotary cutter, a 3x4 piece of cardstock for the base of the Caddy, and a 2x4 and another 2x4. So 2 2x4 pieces of chipboard for the front and back of the Caddy, and then 2 2x3 pieces of chipboard for the sides of the Caddy. Okay. And I saw Scrap Queen cover her box like this, and she formed it as she folded the paper up. So let's give it a try. I did it on my first one, and I really liked doing it that way. It made it so much easier to cover all the edges of your box. Just kind of getting them eyeballed there. And I had to start this video over a couple times because I kept losing the tip off my glue bottle. So I'm just using art glitter glue, which I really, really like. I think a lot of people do, or they seem to because they use it in their videos, but it is a really good glue. And it doesn't take much to hold it. And you could also use score tape for this. And I probably should have done the middle piece first, but it'll be alright. So I'm just going to lay this down on there. And we'll do our middle piece. We'll put this in the middle. And I'm using this piece of chipboard just as my spacer. So I'm going to line up the edges, and then I'm going to put that in there in the middle, and then I'm just going to push it up against it. And that gives me probably an 1/8 inch gap. Oops. Make sure I'm still in frame. Okay. So we're going to glue our other, I guess we'll just call this the front piece since it's closest to us. And we're just going to make sure it's all lined up this way, and I'll take my spacer and put it in, and then just push it up against that. And that way we have, pretty much a perfect seam. And so I'm going to turn this so I can see it better, make sure it's lined up. I'm going to make sure the sides of this piece are lined up with the base, these pieces. Like, make sure it's lined up on each side along that. So I'm just going to make sure that's lined up. I'm not pushing it. I don't want the glue to grab. Scoot it over just a hair, and now I'll put my spacer piece and then push it up against it and make sure it's good and snug. And we're going to make sure the sides of this piece are lined up with the edge of the base. So now I'll bring my spacer in and push it up against it, and everything looks good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut some of this extra off, and I'm just going to use my scissors, and we want about a 1/2 inch, so we're just going to cut like the corners off at about a 1/2 inch, and you can measure if you want, but we're not going to see this, so it'll be alright. And just, whoops, can't quite get it in there. Okay, one more corner. And then I'm going to cut this off at about a 1/2 inch. And just a little bit of that one off, about a 1/2 inch. Okay, so now we've got this, and I'm going to use, look at my X-Acto knife. And we're going to, on each side of our side, we're going to cut one piece off, okay? And then we're just going to take and do the corner like so. And I'll probably come back with my scissors. So we're going to do this side, angle there, and we'll do this side. This way it's nice and flush if I use my X-Acto knife. And I'm going to go along this side. So it's like every other one as you're twisting it. Okay. And, whoops, make sure I don't mess up here. Make sure, yeah, that's right. Okay, and there we go. So I'm going to hold this like this so you can see. So there you go. Make sure you get the right pieces cut off. And then I'm just going to come back in and, like you're making a mini album, I'm just going to cut, leaving just a little bit on that corner. And we'll tuck that in here in just a minute so that that corner is covered. Okay, so now we are going to fold these over, or just get, kind of push on them to get. I do like to use score tape on these little hinges. Let me find the end of it. So let's put some score tape there. And let's go ahead and put some on the edge at the top too. Whoops, I'm sorry. So now we're going to take our score tape off the top, the long pieces, and just fold them down. My bone folder, and I want to come around and just push that corner down. Let me see. Let's kind of not give a different bone folder here. And then there we go. So I'm just pushing, kind of wrapping that around. It's just pushing it in just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just getting that corner to come down in. So that way when we go around, it will, it'll be covered there. Okay? So see how it's right there? I'm just going to push that down right there. So when it wraps around, it's kind of like wrapping a present. Okay? So we've got that. So let's see here. Let's just hold these up and make sure the size and everything is going to, it's going to be perfect. So we'll bring this up, and it kind of sets, when you bring it up, when you fold it up, it goes on top of that base piece, see? But I just thought this was so clever when I saw her design. Just makes it so much easier. And let me can't get a hold of that score tape to get it off. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue. Whoops, my pen out. Just a tiny little bit of glue right there on the back of that as well. And then wrap it around. And then you can see the corner where we used our bone folder. It just fits so nicely. Okay. And let me go ahead and and it's so sturdy. But we're still going to reinforce this, but it is so much easier to do it this way if you can, if it's a small box. I'm just putting a little tiny bit of glue there. And let me get my score tape. Maybe. Whoops. There we go. And I'm just making sure the box, it's all lined up. And then just wrap that around. So now we have our box. What we're going to do now is we're going to make some hinges and cut them to fit on the inside corners and at the bottom seams. And then this box, if you've never made one, it is so sturdy when you add your hinges. It's amazing. I'm going to take my black cardstock, and I have a scrap piece laying here, so I'm going to and I'm trying to decide if I want to do score tape. Probably. So let's use 3/8 inch tape here. I think this is my 3/8 inch. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it fits in there. So I'm just going to go along. Make sure you do not cover up your score line. So let's just put the tape on all of these. So we're just going to miter this a little bit. Went flying across the room. So let's take our score tape backing off. And what I do is I just fold it non-sticky to non-sticky and get a hold of it and make sure I want to get the score line down in the crease of the box. Okay. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do without. So we're going to do that all the way around the bottom on each side. And let's see here, my roller. And it's right at, it's just a little under 3 inches when you're doing your seams on the inside and the bottom. It's just a little bit smaller. So go ahead and cut those out. And my other piece, 4 inches. So we're just going to do, I'll do one more where you can watch. So we're just going to cut the corners. Whoops, I keep wanting to do it the wrong way. I don't know what's wrong with me today. My brain's not working. Okay. So we're going to, whoops. Like I said, just folding it over so the score tape's on the outside. We're going to take it and put that, the score line down in the crease of the box. Okay. So let's just go ahead. Now we have all of the bottom secured, and that makes it really, really sturdy. So now we're going to take and do our corners. And it's, I would say, at 1 7/8. So we're going to miter the corners on this as well. And we're going to do the same thing, but in the corner pieces. So we're going to take this and fold it, and we're just going to stick it in the corner. Like so. Take the score mark and just put it down in the corner. And then that gives us our hinge, and look how, see, it won't move. We're over here, it kind of goes forward a little bit. That keeps it from doing that. Okay, so now we're just going to do the other 3 corners. Okay, so there's our box. So now we need to put decorative paper on the inside of the box. Okay, I've got my piece cut, so let's just make sure it fits, which it does, and then we have a nice black border around it. So get our we'll do the inside pieces, and it was 4 inches wide, so I'm thinking 3 3/4 and 2 inches deep, so 1 3/4. Okay, I've got my 2 pieces cut. Let's just see if that's going to make sure they're going to fit. They fit perfectly. Okay. Now we will cut our side pieces, which will be 2 3/4 wide by 1 3/4 deep. So let me cut those out. Okay, I've got my pieces cut, and let's ink those edges. Some of the scrap pieces I have. Let's see, here, I think I want to do the, I wish now I would have done the foiled side, but oh well. So let's just go ahead and do the more plain, just the white and black. So there's the inside of the box, and now we're going to cover the outside. And our measurements are going to be pretty much the same. I am going to pull over, let's see, my big tag, so I'll know which decorative paper I'm going to use. Let's see here. I just love that gold. And I really like the feathers, I think, for the back. So that's the one I'm going to have on front. So let's do something coordinating to go around. And we only need to decorate the front and the both sides on this. So let me figure out which paper. Okay, and I actually ended up making this a little bit bigger because where we've built our sides out, it's a little bit bigger. So it's 1 3/4 tall by 3 7/8. Just double checking here. Yes, I did 3 7/8, so it would make an even piece all the way around. Okay, so we're just going to ink that edge. Over just a hair. And the art glitter glue, it does dry clear, which is really nice. So when it comes out of the seam like that, because you want to make sure your seams are glued down really well. And I forgot to show you, to see how sturdy your box is now, where you put the hinges on the inside. Okay, so there's that. And we will need, let me measure the side this time. So we will need 1 3/4 by 2 7/8. Let me cut 2 of those, 1 for each side. Okay, just ink our edges. Okay, so there's that. So now we need to, I'm just going to set that aside, and we're going to cover our tag. And we're covering the large tag. And this just really spreads the glue out. You can also use a putty knife. I saw another lady doing that, and it works really well, and mine's over there to the side. So I want to use, I like the foil, so I'm going to make it make this piece, it'll be the front piece. That. So now we're going to attach this to our box, and Scrap Queen did hers a little bit different. I didn't want a lip in the front, so I just adhered mine to the very back of the box. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cover this box with some score tape. It's on there really well. And I'm going to take my little tool here. Okay. So now we will adhere, making sure I have the rose side. That's the one that I liked. And we're just going to line this up at the bottom. Make sure it's centered. Okay, there it is. Okay. Yep. She looks good. Okay. So now that's adhered. I'm just running my fingers here. Now we can work on our tags. We're going to cover those. So these are the tags that go on the inside, and I have inked the edges, and I did use Distress Ink Black Soot. I'll hold it there a little bit longer, sorry. And we're going to cover with our cardstock and then our decorative paper. So we'll do our cardstock part first. It's like once you get your box made, that's the hardest part of this project. So now we're going to cover our tags with cardstock. Just want to make sure. And I did notice that even though this was cut with my Cricut, the paper is a little bit longer, so I'm just going to trim it off with my scissors. Should be good. Or I better use my paper trimmer. So I'm just going to trim off. It's just like 1/8 of an inch. That's too long. I'll show you here. Well, if I can get a hold of it. I'm probably going to have to use my scissors to cut the rest of the way off. But see, it came out just a little bit longer. So just trim that off, and I will trim it ahead of time on my next I did this a few weeks ago and prepared everything, and I forgot that it was just a little bit longer. So there we go. So I just trimmed it off where it met. So there we go. So it's nice and even on the bottom, because if you don't trim that, then they're going to start curling up. So there's that, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other 3 tags. Okay, I've got all 4 of our tags covered with our cardstock, so now we're just going to do our decorative paper. So I will decide which 4 pieces I would like to have on the front of my tag and which ones I would like on the back. Okay, so I have my tags covered with our decorative paper, and now I want to put on the feet. And I was going to use E6000, but I remember seeing Sandy Nigel, if I'm saying her name right, she used art glitter glue to put on some metal pieces, so I'm going to try that. Worst thing it'll do is it'll just fall off and I'll use E6000. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that inside the feet. Just slide it on there. Just push it. It feels like it's got, well, may not work for feet. She used it to glue a Graphic 45 piece to a tag, but maybe this just isn't. Let's see. I'm just going to leave it like that and leave it alone and see what happens. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. And it's like it kind of grabs hold here. Just hold it for a little bit. And then I think I want to take some little pearls and put in those dots, or some stickles or Nuvo drops or something, just to kind of fill those holes in. I could probably just even put glue and put a little double white paint and you wouldn't notice it. Okay, and that is holding. So I'm just going to pause this, and I'm going to put the feet on the back, and when it dries, I'll be back. Okay, my feet are almost dried, and I really like them. I got the feet off Amazon, and I think they're just jewelry box feet. I think that's why they come up on the side, and then they have the little holes for the nails. But like I said, I'm going to plug my holes with something. I just don't know what yet, so we'll think of something. Okay, so I've got that. Now we're going to make the little tablet portion of our tag, so you'll have a little writing pad as well. And the paper for it measures 2.5 by 5.5. And I have just cut, I think I had 3 or 4 sheets, and I cut it all at the same time of 8.5 by 11, and this is how many I could get out of that, those 8.5 by 11 sheets. So I think, I cannot remember who I saw do this. It's been a long time I saw them do that, but I think it was Tamika. So I'm just going to tap these on the bottom here and make sure the tops are all aligned. Well, let me do it one more time. And they took hot glue and made their own tablets. I'm just going to take some hot glue and hold them together. Take hot glue and kind of ooze it in between the pages. Now, I have done this and it works. And I want to say it was her when she did a teeny tiny book embellishment swap. And then I love my Teflon bone folder, and I'll just push it on that. And I'm holding the pages together and I'm pushing on the bone folder, and then it just makes it nice and smooth, and your pages are adhered and it will tear out, which I think is just so cool. And then take your scissors, and I'm just trimming off the excess of glue that, see there, it came out. So I just want to trim that off so when we cover it with our decorative paper at the top. And then this piece measures, let's see, I think it was 2.5 by 2.5. And I round the corners with my Crocodile corner rounder. And I'm just going to eyeball it And what I did was I just held it in the front where I wanted it. Or actually, I like that piece. I'm trying to decide which way I want it to go. I guess it doesn't really matter. So I just kind of did that. The paper's going to be a different thickness. And then I just went around the little notepad and squeezed it down. Okay, so there's that. Oh, it's a little bit crooked. Let me get it. There we go. There's that. Let's see. I can feel the glue underneath. It's held up. Okay, there we go. And I just couldn't find an already made tablet. So if you can find one already made, that's even better. So we're going to put some glue on the top of this. And the back. I'm going to lay it back on there. And hold this for just a little bit. I'm going to probably have to put some hot glue, and that's hot grease. It's not wanting to grab hold, probably because the hot glue is kind of slick when you flatten it out. And then a little bit came down, and so it's holding the front down. But I just put it in the seam, and then when I pushed it down, it kind of oozed to the front, so it's going to hold that down, but yet you can still tear your, here, I'll tear one out. You can still tear your paper out. Well, there we go. It's not a perfect tear, but, you know, it still tears out. So, there's that. Okay, and I found these calendar templates on, I think it was Google. I did a search, and I found these. Of course, this is February, but I did work on this project in January, so I'll just go ahead and take it off for now, for January. And I was only able to find, I think, up through July. Let's see, yeah, June. And we're going to do it the same way as we did the, tablet. Just going to put the hot glue on the end, at the top, I should say. Whoops. And whoops, the wrong way. So it is, I need to cut it down a little bit. So it will be 1 3/4 by 2. And I need to figure out how to get the edge. I forgot to leave me a little bit of room at the top when it printed out. So let's take some more hot glue and just build up the top. I'm just trying to get a bead of glue on the very tip of the end of it. Just going to slide that glue, get it to the top. Stringy, stringy. Okay, that's cool enough where I can kind of touch it and mold it a little bit to make it something to glue onto. So be really careful with that. When you're trimming your calendar, leave some room at the top. I didn't do that, so let's see here. I'm probably gonna have to use hot glue again because the art glitter glue won't stick to that. So I'm just gonna put a tiny little bit of hot glue on my paper, and I'm gonna lay it on top of my bone folder so it will come up. Okay, and I can see my calendar. Okay, there we go. Just glued it down. And now we'll kind of put a little score line. Take my ruler, just kind of go like that to get it to bend. Okay. That side needs to come down just a little bit more. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue this so it will stick, and put a little bit on the very last page of the calendar. Okay, there we have it. And that piece was, you know, it's extra, but it'll be okay. So there's our calendar. Lay it to the side over here with the little notebook we made. And now we need to make hanging elements for our tags. I'll show you here. Let me get one that's made. And it's just this right here. So you can take your paper and slide it in, okay? And we need 2 pieces of the 4 1/4 by 1 inch, okay? Don't look at the ends yet. So you need 2 of these, and then you'll score it at a 1/2 inch and 3 3/4 an inch, or just do 1/2 inch, turn it around and do a 1/2 inch on each side. So that is 4 1/4 by 1 inch, and we scored it at 1/2 inch and 3 3/4. Okay, so we need 2 of these cut and scored in the same place, and then we'll do our little decorative piece to go in the middle, and it is 3 inches by 3 3/4. So I'm going to put score tape on the parts, the 1/2 inch part that we scored. Grab it here. Well, wait a minute, where's my 3? There it is, right in front of me. So I'm going to put score tape on each piece here. Each end that was scored. So what you're going to do is just fold those back, and we will peel the paper off on the tablet. And what I did before was I went ahead and put this up, the piece up in the tablet. So when I come over here, I can put it where the tablet is hanging nicely. So it's like centered, you know, like the bottom is centered, the tablet paper, like right along the bottom. So I'm going to hang it right here. So measurement, so there you can see it's even. And I'll take the tablet off, and we'll use our glue and glue on our decorative piece. And this is, and this is one tag done. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with the calendar. Get the piece, and we'll slide it in here, back. And this one I did have to put up a little bit higher, so we'll see where it goes on this one. It's not too bad. And that looks pretty good. Let me tilt it up a little bit here to make sure. I think that'll work. There we go. And now we will put our decorative piece. And that is our calendar tag. So let's make our photo mats for our pictures. And on this one, I put this Blessed Life there, but you can, you know, I can use it as a photo mat as well. We'll do the tags for the, or the photo mats for the tags, as well as the photo mats for the back of the caddy. Okay. So I've measured these out. So it's going to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/2 for your mat, and 3 by 3 1/4. So that's your large photo mats for this tag. And then for this one, it is 2 3/4 wide by 3 inches tall. And then your mat will be 2 1/2 wide by 2 3/4 tall. And then your small one will be 2 1/4 by 2 1/2, and I just come down in 1/4 inch increments to give you your matting. So we'll put pop dots on the back of the 2 1/4 by 2 1/2. I'm very generous with my pop dots. And then we're going to put it on the 2 1/2 by 2 3/4. And I just usually eyeball this, and I'm going to pull it over here so the camera's in the way so I can get it centered. Okay, there we go. So there's that part. And I did glue the 2 1/2, or no, that's not right. It was 2.5 by 2 3/4 to the 2 3/4 by 3 inch. Okay, so there's that. And we'll put pot dots on the back of this. We'll do this one. And it is the 3 by 3 1/4. And we'll put pot dots on the back of it. Put pot dots on the 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And it's 3 1/2 is the tall. I'll try to hold it there. I think you can see it. Okay. The pot dot covers off. There we go. And there, that one lined up a little bit easier. These are the ones for the back. And so these are our 3 inch squares and 2 3/4 inch squares. So we'll put pot dots on. I'm trying to decide which side I want. So let's see, get this centered. And that looks pretty good. So there's one. See the other one. I'll put this like so. So I'm just centering that. Okay, and there's our other one. I'm going to go ahead and decorate it very similar. I'm going to use the trim that I'm always talking about. That's my favorite trim, and which is this one right here. And you can see I've cut pieces off of it. We are going to go ahead and use a piece, or a section of it. And what I do is I just trim what off what I don't need. Okay, so we'll do that there. And I'll put this back over here so I don't get something on it. And I do save all of my pieces that I'm, well, maybe not little strings, but the pieces like this. I do save that because we can use that somewhere. And I have a little bag, and I just have little tiny pieces, or if you have like a 3 inch piece, you know, you save all your goodies. So what I'm going to do in this case is, you can leave those, but it's gotten trimmed off. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my scissors. I'm just going to go around and cut that off. And I just like to go around and clean it up and make it look nice and neat. But if you weren't going to see this portion, you can go around here and snip those little strings out, and then you would have like a frame and then a little doily. But we are going to see this, and I don't know if I'm going to put a bow on the top, so we're just going to cut this in half. And I'm just lining it up between where it met. So we've got our top piece. And this is going to bug me, so I'm just going to trim this little piece off right there. Okay. So there's that, and then I'll probably come back and put a bow or something there, and we will do our other one. And I'm just going to put some lace Caddy now. Go ahead and do it. To the back first. I just wanted to show you what I had added to my project. I just added a few more things, a few more embellishments, and I didn't show that because my video was just getting so long and I didn't want to bore you with watching me just make a bow and glue some more things on it. So I did add some flat back pearl trim along the edge there, and it was the self-adhesive, and it was from Hobby Lobby, and it was in a sheet, had probably, I don't know, 15-20 rows, and I just trimmed one down and put it around the top there. And I did put a little bit of art glitter glue to make sure it would hold. And my feet are staying on really well. And I did add, my light here, and I did add some of the little pearls right there, so you can see. There you go. Over those little holes, because you can see the black paper through them, so I just added the pearls. Now I might need to go back and put a little bit more glue on that one. It looks like it slid down, but so far they're staying on really well. And the feet, I only had one of the feet come off the foot, and I did put some E6000 on it, but the rest seemed to have taken a hold. And like I said, I used the art glitter glue except for this one right here, and I did use the E6000. It was a little loose and it just came off, and I used the E6000 because I was afraid, you know, maybe the art glitter glue wasn't going to hold. But as you can tell, and I'm not going to yank it really hard, but you know, it's some pressure, and it's been sitting here overnight, and it is fine. But I love the feet. It really changes the look of it. I like it better than what I did with the beads when I first did it, but I didn't have any feet, so I was able to, you know, utilize feet this time. So we'll go through the tags, and I'll just show you a front and back that they're completed. So I added a bow, and of course this gorgeous bling piece from NatashaScrapbooKorner. And once again, this is a design team project for her store, and there'll be a link for everything in the description box below. So there's a front, and you could always decorate the back, but I just figured where they would be leaning against each other, if you put pictures or something, I was afraid it would just tear or not look as neat. It would get ruffled up, I guess. So there's that. And here's our other photo mat, and you know, you could put quotes on these. And here's a little writing tablet, and then our calendar. And there's the inside of the box with the tag. And the back, I just added a seam binding bow, and I took this applique and just cut it into pieces and put the leaves behind the bow and the flower in the center. So I thought that came out really, really well. So I was really happy with how everything turned out. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and tell me what you think. I hope the tutorial was okay. I have been working on it the last few days, and my daughter's been sick, and I've had my grandson, so I've been editing with the help of a 2-year-old. So hopefully everything makes sense. But if you do have any questions, just put them in the comment put them in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to answer that. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.